Our session today features a Rutgers Business School Executive Education fan favorite faculty member. I practiced that and didn't have to say it too fast, so we made it through. Christina Curley is known in the industry simply as CK. CK has been teaching in RBSEE mini MBA programs for 15 years, and more recently in the Masters of Digital Marketing program. And a shout out to the students from that program who are joining us today. CK has spent 30 years in the industry and has taught over 10 technologies in that time. Now she's here to talk to you about how AI impacts you. Using clear, relatable language and compelling examples, CK will showcase profound breakthroughs that are coming in AI and how to channel the shockwaves of AI disruption into a springboard for your own reinvention. I'm intrigued and excited to hear more, and I know our audience is too. With that, CK, take it away.
Thank you, my rockin' webinar partner for the last 10 years. Welcome, everyone. I am, as usual, stoked about the content we're going to go over, but I'm particularly excited about this subject because it really intersects two of my core passions. One, technology, and two, reinvention. I look at reinvention from two key standpoints. Corporate reinvention, I speak on it, I teach on it, I train on it. And AI is an absolute mandate for reinvention for companies across business models and brands and cultures. But for career executives, all of you, all of me, it's an absolute opportunity. Now, before I jump in, I need to do two key things. One, please, please, please submit all your questions, but use that fancy Q&A option. There's a chat option too, but believe it or not, as calm and relaxed as Margaret sounds with her beautiful voice, she is in the trenches back there, y'all, getting all your questions together because we're not going to leave you hanging. If I need to go over the hour mark to get to everyone's questions, darn it, we'll do it and we'll do it happily. And if you can stay on for that length of time, great, but if you can't, we're recording it, so all your questions will be answered. But please use that Q&A because my gal Margaret, I cannot do this without my crew. Funny thing, and I think you can relate to this, but AI has been sliced, it has been diced, it has been hyped, it has been memed. The AI coverage is breathless, it's relentless, it's tireless, and yet it's been sliced from every darn angle except for the one that's most important. We career execs, you. I want you to think about this because we're in an amazing time of history, not just because of breakthrough technology like AI, but because, that film that won a couple of years back, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once? I call it Everyone, Everywhere, All at Once. Think about this for a second. Every single person working across every single occupation, residing in every single location, and spanning every single generation is undergoing AI driven disruption. And we hear about disruption, we understand it, it's hyped, it's headlined, it's hashtagged. But what we're not hearing enough about is AI's biggest change, which is to us and our careers. We talk about technical aspects and commercial aspects. This is deeply personal and yet wholly universal. And AI's biggest opportunity is the reinvention of our careers. Whether we are working for a company full time, whether we're working for our own businesses, or whether we're bridging the two, or whether we're between opportunities right now. So, what I'm going to be doing throughout the course of today's session is I want to give you a roadmap. And I started with 8, and then I was able to really crystallize it down to 6 key rules that are actionable, that are strategic, that are tactical, and can be implemented even if you have a smaller budget. One thing I want you to understand is while I have been in technology for 30 years across more than 10 technologies, and heck, with AI, I feel like I'm just getting started. It's because of reinvention that I've been able to do what I do. So not only are we going through a amazingly personal time in our world, this is really personal and proven strategy by yours truly. So let's start with the most important, most meaningful, and most sustainable rule when it comes to change. I promise you, 30 years in the business of transformation across internets, outer nets, smartphones, smart things, robots, cobots, and more. If we don't work on our mindsets before and in tandem with our skill sets, the change will not stick. Why? Because in order to change a mind, you need to open a mind. It's funny, when it comes to skill sets, we pour a lot of budgets into that. And I get it. Skill sets are straightforward. They're easily measurable. Mindsets, they're intangible, they're messy, they're a mystery. But what we need to go to is the core mindset first and reframing this AI revolution, not around obstacles, but about and around opportunities. So the first thing we need to do is really reframe our mindsets. I was in an office hour with students, and my students, as you know, are career executives or master's students. And they gave me a piece of advice that meant so much to me this week. And they said to me, CK, you've really changed my mindset as I approach AI. I swear I could not get a bigger gift than that, because that's where it all starts and that's where it's all sustainable. Yet mindsets are the most overlooked, underfunded, and underappreciated part of change. So I want you to understand, when we're talking about mindsets, why it's such an important and integral driver for successful reinvention. Because the biggest change from AI, it seems like it's happening all around us, especially with weekly and daily and hourly updates from every single AI player and every big headline. But it's really the big changes happening within us. Think of it this way: if skill sets are education, mindsets are more like motivation. And where we need skill sets to perform, we need our mindsets first to absolutely transform. I think of it this way: skill sets can change what we do, but at a mindset level, it's changing who we are. So, what does this mean? First and foremost, it means you need to flip the script from obstacles into opportunities. Instead of looking at the future with dread, be open to it with opportunity. Some of the biggest obstacles I get, I want to go through on this slide because I'm going to show you how they absolutely positively do not apply in the age of AI. For first, you're too old for tech. I know it's hard to believe this, but your host today is actually 56 years young, and I am just getting started with technology. And in fact, when it comes to AI, your age and especially your wisdom and experience is so important. You know, we just had a huge report come out and it shook everything because they said 90% of AI projects are failing. And I went, well, this happens with a new technology. And they're like, oh my God, it's all over. And I said, hi, I want to know the 10% what they're doing right. And what we're finding that they're doing right is not just transformation, like the decades old digital transformation, it's reinvention. We are no longer in a time of the place where we're doing things differently with digital transformation. We are now doing entirely different things with AI reinvention. And our age, our wisdom, our learned experiences give us a place to begin with: where are the pain points? Where are the needed improvements? And how do we best use this technology? Not as novelty, as a way to eliminate problems, as a way to restructure our work for better performance. So you're not too old for AI tech. You're not an AI expert? Guess what? As of November 30th this month, ChatGPT is a whopping 3 years old. Now, I'm an older gal when it comes to AI. I did my TEDx talk way back in 2018 on AI when no one was talking about it. But when generative AI hit the scene and when everything was easier to use and the capabilities just became such a game changer, that was not even 3 years ago until November 30th. Folks, things are changing too fast, improving too fast. It's way too vast for anyone to be an AI expert. That is not a legitimate obstacle. You don't know how to code? Guess what? You want to be really good at prompting? You don't need to know how to code. You know what you need? The good old soft skill, the people skill of good, clear communication. And guess what? Now our systems, they talk our language, whatever language we speak, whether in Boston, Massachusetts, English, or in Beijing, China for Mandarin. Folks, now we don't have to learn how to code. We need to learn how to communicate to get what we need. And finally, you don't have a degree in tech? That is fine because you know what? We're in lifelong learning right now. And even if you're not in the tech industry, every single industry and profession and occupation is driven by this technology. So you need to flip that script. So the most important thing to understand is the biggest technology of our lifetime, AI, is also the biggest career reinvention and opportunity for you. I want to appeal to you and say no matter your age, no matter your industry, no matter your experience, no matter your lack of expertise, this is a way for you to leapfrog ahead. There has never been a bigger way to close a digital divide, heck, an opportunity divide, than to learn these systems. Don't wait for permission. There's all sorts of ways. Heck, there's this webinar right here that is free. There's all sorts of ways for you to get ahead. So the biggest opportunity that no one is talking about, I swear to you, is the biggest aspect of AI, both for companies to reinvent, but especially for career executives. So now that we've talked about the number one rule of really reframing that mindset, I need us to look at how we are looking at technology itself. We need to look at AI no longer as a basic tool or a tech, but as an intelligent teammate. It's different. We used to, before 3 years ago, work on machines and on our devices. Now we work with our machines and with our devices. We are literally reinventing our relationship with technology. Why? I say we've gone from IT to IT, information technology, to intelligent technology. So now we have a new relationship where these technologies are much more than technologies. They're literally teammates. Why? Because they're not competitors. Everyone's like, CK, how do I compete with an AI? I go, I know how. Don't. Why would you look outside yourself at where to compete? Heck, there used to be job titles called computer and calculators, folks. And that doesn't threaten us now. It shouldn't threaten us with this technology. In fact, I never want to go back to stupid technology. I don't want my computer to be as stupid today as it is tomorrow. I want intelligent technologies that I work with. I get more done of more meaningful work. So it's a collaborator. You know what? Humanity did not try and outrun a horse. You know what they did? They harnessed the horse and they got faster, further together. And this is exactly where your career success and survival will be dictated. Why? It's collaborating with these technologies. And it's each going to be different for each one of us. I may use ChatGPT, but I bet you I don't use it in the same exact way as you. I may evolve my role. Maybe I'm doing less writing, but I'm doing a lot more editing. Maybe I'm doing a lot less analysis of data, but I'm doing a lot more with the action points from those gems. So that career success is collaborating with these teammates. And you know what? Work is finally personalized to each and every one of us. Gone are the days. I teach on the future of work. And I'm like the three P's. Gone are the days when work was the same amount of tasks and the same amount of activities for same. Now it's personalized to each and every one of us. Why? We all have different strengths, different weaknesses. Now it's focused on performance. It's not just focused on a list of to-dos. And now we can really personalize it to each and every one of us. So when we're looking at technology and looking at this specific set of intelligent technologies, AI is not a set of tools to replace us. In fact, it is a teammate. And I can say for sure that it amplifies me, it multiplies, it enables, it elevates, and it liberates. And it's really helpful when you work for a nano business of one, like I have for the last 30 years. So folks, when it comes to these technologies, we are literally reinventing the relationship we have with them. And that does not make them better nor worse than us. But when you're looking at where do we fit in, which we're going to go into next, don't be looking outside to compete. Look inside at what your natural gifts are and where AIs can't compete at all. So that brings us to rule number 3. We're talking about how to look at these technologies and reinvent that relationship. We need to look at reimagining what our roles are going to be. And here, I want us to redesign our roles to optimize the 3 T's: time, talent, and tech. Whether you're working for a company and you are reporting back on your role, or whether you're working for yourself and you are reinventing that role, it's important that you take that first step and second step. Don't wait for your supervisor to give you that okay. Go to your supervisor with a list. It will help them. It will help your company. It will help yourself. Go to them with a list of how your role is changing. Don't wait for, oh my gosh, how is it going to change? How is it going to evolve? You're the best one to redesign this role altogether. So it's really important that we start to take those measures because, frankly, technology is never going to be this slow again. I know it's fast, but things have never before changed so fast and they will never happen this slowly again. So it's important that we start to redesign our role around optimizing tech, talent, and time. So your reinvention of work is really around 3 key areas of work you will now do, work that is possible to do, and work that you will no longer do. This is the first time in history where technology isn't just improving our work, but it's completely changing our work due to these possibilities and due to what we shouldn't be working on. I mean, frankly, you can look at your time and you can say, I waste too much time on this. If I only had more time in the day, what do I need to be doing more work around? And when you really start to look at that, you go, you know what? Work has always, up till now, always been designed around limitations, around constraints, never around possibilities. We didn't have the availability. Why? Because time, talent, and tech, which are not just 3 aspects, they're absolutely values and priorities. Time, it was too much work and not enough time. You didn't have that intelligent teammate, right? Or talent. What is your inherent talent? And what is your budget or lack thereof to be able to afford external talent? Now that's where AI is helping you. Third, the technology. Technology was great, but it had limited sophistication, and I'm telling you, it couldn't scale. But now, much like we're reframing mindsets, much like we're reinventing that relationship with technology, we are flipping that model because now we're looking at where were my constraints? That's where you start to reinvent the role. For example, marketers couldn't personalize to everyone. How could they? Now they can because they have an intelligent teammate. Researchers couldn't analyze every single data set or couldn't go after researching solutions for every disease state. My most favorite one. Teachers couldn't tailor every lesson. Heck, I think we have my favorite teacher as an attendee here, my sister Melissa. Folks, now AI is helping us personalize. They will absolutely gasp that there was a time in life where every single student got every single piece of homework the same, but we're all different. Designers couldn't test every idea. So when you're looking at redesigning your role, look at where's your time best spent? Where are your talents best amplified? What are you lacking for those talents? What can you afford now due to prices going down? And how can technology fully focus on what was a limitation and a constraint and change that from a pain point into a possibility? So now we can reinvent around that. And most important, the work you do and the work you will no longer do will be constantly transformed. And that's okay. It will only make you happier, healthier, more productive. But the best person to redesign, reshape, and yep, reinvent that role is you and only you. Much like you know your pain points, you know your institutional wisdom, you know your industry. That's the best place. Start redesigning that role. Even if you work full time for a company, I'm telling you, your supervisor, your team, your C suite will be so thankful that you started to take that initiative. You know, we live in times where, oh my gosh, AI is hitting on everything. That's one thing, right? We've got crazy politics, no matter where you are on the spectrum of right, left, middle, purple, doesn't matter. It's so chaotic right now, right? But the biggest thing that people fear is not change, it's uncertainty. You can work on that because you know your certainty when it comes to your job. You know your certainty when it comes to flipping the script from tech as tools to tech as teammates. You know your certainty that it's not just skill sets, it's mindsets. I'm telling you, there is opportunity in chaos, and the opportunity is giving clarity. You may not know all the answers, but you'll be amazed just how many you do know when you commit to starting. And when we're talking about commitment, we're probably talking about my favorite of all the rules. And here I'm going to go into the biggest challenge when it comes to AI acceleration. Everything's moving so fast. And the biggest competitive advantage, adaptability. But the biggest thing you have to do is we need to change the way that we change. Education never should have been one and done. It's so funny when humanity will look back and say, so they spent like full time learning from like age 3 to age 22, and then they were just like done, and then they just did work after that, and they retired at a certain age. Like that's how it went. Folks, lifelong learning is so important, but it should be the norm. When I did a keynote at Bentley University a couple years back, I was like, you know, a gal like me in my 50s is the exception on a campus. It'll soon be the rule. Why would we ever stop? Heck, it's healthy for us as well, just from neuroscience and cognitive and reversing cognitive decline. When you're always learning, when you're always expanding, you're not only putting a major investment that will get you ahead and leapfrog your career, it's healthier and happier. Now, I do want to say a couple things. One, you can't know everything. We can't boil the ocean, but you'd be amazed how much further you can get ahead by making lifelong learning a lifestyle. What does that mean, CK? First and foremost, whenever I have broken my worst habits or started my best habits, I went to the identity level and I said, this is how I identify as this type of person, that I am constantly learning, that I'm constantly working on healthy exercise, whatever it may be. It became part of my lifestyle, and becoming part of my lifestyle at the identity level and layer became a new lens at the way I look at things. Now, when we do Netflix and chill, now I'm like, you know what? Instead of watching some melodrama tonight, I'm going to watch a documentary on tech. My commute to work, I may be jamming to my playlist, but on the way back, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm making sure that once a quarter, I'm taking an online course, and 5 times a year, I am absolutely positively going to different conferences. I'm making sure that I'm using my social media as business media and that I'm valuing these human connections and these human networks. You know why? Because we can't know everything. But I can know one thing. Renee, who's in here right now, can know another thing. Margaret can know another thing, and we can share. So when we make learning a lifestyle, we hit head on the biggest challenge when it comes to AI. And I swear, even the most moneyed up companies are having this challenge. Why? Because Oh my gosh. Does anyone here remember Moore's Law when we were so astounded that computing would double in 24 months? That's chicken feed. Now we 6x to 200x our progress every 6 months. The capabilities are astounding with AI. And the top challenge, I call it survival of the fastest, is the pace of change. Heck, technical skills. Technical skills used to have a half life of 10 to 15 years. Now it's 2.5 years. My point is acceleration and being able to keep up, which we need a new mantra around that. Keeping up is null and void, but being able to accelerate and have a regimen for learning as a lifestyle, that will keep us more on top of the change and more ready and more adept. And when we're talking about adept, the new competitive advantage, absolutely positively, is adaptability. And the number one skill, people are like, what's the skill, CK? Is it AI? Is it soft skills? And I say it's learning agility. And this should start at the K through 5 level. It's not just what to learn. It's how to keep learning new subjects. We need to become more agile. We also need learning as a lifestyle. For corporations, I say stop this know it all, go to learn it all, and take your corporate culture. And it's no longer about expertise, it's about experimentation. Margaret will back me up on this. One of our favorites, Ken Starr, who's HR and training over at Atlas Copco, he is really pushing and encouraging this idea of endless experimentation. That's how you cultivate, that's how you grow. I would argue that's how we make learning as a lifestyle. And these elements, folks, these elements can include formal learning aspects like online classes or what we're doing right now, as well as informal, those podcasts, and time to experiment. You know what's beautiful about AI is that we don't have to learn a new set of code and rules to use these systems. We are up and running. Heck, when ChatGPT takes 2 whole minutes to answer me, you should hear me. I'm cursing like a sailor because I'm so used to it being so fast because we've gotten so fast at using these technologies. So when it comes to this rule, understand reinvention isn't a destination. It is an ongoing discipline. So this learning as a lifestyle, it thrives on experimentation, but it prioritizes constant adaptation. And I tell you how to adapt, that learning agility and learning as a lifestyle. And you know what? I'm like that QVC program. But wait, there's more when it comes to learning as a lifestyle. Why? Rule number 5, you got to promote your reinvention, right? And everyone's like, okay, once I get to expert or mastery level on this, I can start marketing. No, you're going to be marketing your momentum in real time. I just said learning as a lifestyle. Guess what? I'm going to have you promoting yourself while you're becoming your new self. I'm going to go ahead and tell you I have been learning out loud and promoting while I'm becoming for 30 years. And it doesn't mean that I come across as an expert. In fact, I let people know I am focused on AI right now. Here's 3 gems I learned this week. You could do a LinkedIn post, you could do a TikTok on things that you're learning and helping others as you're doing that journey. You know what people love? They love your story. They love your evolution. You know what? I hate advertising. But guess what? I love certain types of advertising because certain types of advertisings are stories. You know, love my life over here. I'll come downstairs. He's watching YouTube. He's watching an hour worth of trailers. And I'm like, I am with you there on this because it's fun to watch advertisements. If anyone here is an 80s baby, they'll know that we spent a lot of time watching a lot of advertisements called MTV, where we were just watching videos, which were advertisements for albums, right? When you're sharing a story, it's not an advertisement. It's helping others and you're learning out loud. So you're not like, okay, CK had me write this down. Now, in like 2 years, I can start marketing. Nope. You can start marketing today. You can start promoting yourself. And you know what people love? They love that not only are you telling them best practices you've learned, share your mistakes. Share what made you crazy about it. Because guess what? You may not be an expert at AI, but you're an expert at human. You've already got that. The machines are the easy part. You know, when it comes to transitioning workforces, I always say humans are not as easily updated as apps or bots. But the thing is, you cannot have the company of the future with the skills of the past. So when you're teaching people how to learn, what to learn, and help them through this, it makes them less scary and more certain to take that step one and step two. So I don't want you to be achieving AI mastery before you amplify this reinvention. They work at the same time. You can be increasing your visibility and promoting that progress by letting the world learn through you. So make learning a lifestyle. If there is a number one thing that you take away from here is learning as a lifestyle, it will instantly increase your net worth and your confidence. But I want you to also promote that while you're learning. Come on a journey with me. Let's learn this. You're helping others. You know, in a time where there's all these AIs and all these systems, we need context. We need the luxury of you saying, I've read 20 big position papers this week. These are the three that I found most valuable, and here's why. Okay. So we've gone through reframing around the AI revolution and understanding the biggest change is us, is our careers, and the biggest opportunity is for reinventing those careers, no matter our age, no matter our tech, no matter our industry. We've looked at how we need to reinvent the way we even look at technology and work on technology because it's now a teammate. It's now human plus machine intelligence. It's not one against the other. We looked at how to redesign our very roles around three priorities: time, talent, and tech, and how we could flip constraints, finally, and limitations into possibilities and into progress. And we looked at transforming a whole learning, lifelong learning into a lifestyle, and we can actually still be promoting while we're doing that. Which brings us to number 6. And this rule here is about sustaining your relevance. When we talk about the most important skill of the 21st century, I go right to reinvention because skills like technology, skills like our human abilities are all going to fold into that. But I want to shaping reinvention into an absolute superpower because I don't want to just get you relevant. I don't want to just have you leapfrog and leverage these opportunities. I want this to be a way to serve you. I'll tell you a little secret. Right now, I'm saying AI, you reinvented. I promise when quantum comes, just like me with the World Wide Web, with IoT, with mobile, with data, with cloud, these have all been ways to reinvent. So I've been shaping that superpower, right? And here is CK's mantra. I'm going to show you something real quick. Hold on. I'll show you when we get to the, I've got to take my camera off and redirect it, but I'm going to show you. Behind me are these three big words I really should copyright. Invent, period, reinvent, period, and most important, repeat. That is my mantra. I need to future proof myself. Why? You know, there's a lot of people looking for jobs right now. And some are saying it's an AI bubble. We definitely need a correction on that. I wouldn't call it a bubble, but a market correction. Some are saying uncertainty. Some are saying tariffs. Some are saying politics. I'm saying all the above, as well as companies literally reacting to one another. Actually, Goldman Sachs just came out and said, I do not agree with this layoffs and all that. But I need for you to understand that even if you're looking for a job, I've spent 30 years in my field working for myself. I look for a job, and the number one way that I'm able to find it is to keep future proofing myself through invent, reinvent, repeat. So when I was saying that AI is far more of a personal change than a technological change or a commercial change, it's also extremely personal to me. Growing up, I was reinventing through going from cities from deep south to far north. But this last 30 years of this entire tech thrilling roller coaster across 30 years of revolutions, I've learned if I can start leapfrogging, if I can start leveling the playing field, and I didn't have unlimited resources, but I did have passion and I had curiosity, I found that this has been the winning formula. First, tools. Technology, no matter the technology, but the most transformative technology will be the best. That's the tools. The strategy is always reinvention, always reinvention. And then you apply that reinvention to your business model, to your brands, to your companies, to your own brand. But the goal was, is, and will always be relevance. And relevance is a very funny word because it seems intangible, but relevance, what companies pay for it. I'm going to tell you, when Netflix first came on the scene, it wasn't necessarily competing with a blockbuster. There will be so many people in the comments that will not know what blockbuster is. It just occurred to me on that. Anyhow, it wasn't competing with Blockbuster. It was looking to be relevant in a digital future. Heck, Kodak, oh my God, you guys will not know Kodak. Kodak founded digital imaging in the 70s, yo, but said, shh, we don't want to cannibalize our own business model. And Instagram came on the scene, and boom, digital imaging was now in real time. Here's one, Google, which has gotten a lot of mileage lately, thank goodness, but they were behind the times. The entire way that we know how to architect a large language model, an LLM is a chat GPT, it's an anthropic Claude, it's a perplexity, is because 20 researchers at Google in 2017 came out with a foundational paper called Attention is All You Need. And that was the framework. And Google sat on it for years because they had their ad model. And then 3 years ago, ChatGPT said, we'll run with that, right? So if you understand that relevance, while it seems really evasive and elusive, it's not. It is what is about all the ROI and all your career reinvention. So use my mantra to great impact because throughout all career phases, think about it, whether we're starting out in our 20s or whether we're changing professions in our 40s, I will start my 16th year, I'm so privileged, with Rutgers next year. But guess what? I wasn't a speaker. I wasn't a teacher or trainer until 41. It's amazing. At 41 is when I came into my own. I was still in technology, but it's because I was doing all this learning and that I was teaching others. How else am I going to get into big companies? Like, please give me a little time and listen to my spiel? No. I would tell them, give me 30 minutes and I'll teach you the next 5 years. And they were like, this is such a great business pitch. This is 30 slides on the future and like one slide on you. And I said, well, my good mama taught me to value people's time. And I had to think, what would I want in exchange for my time, especially in an attention economy, right? So you may be changing your professions in your 40s. It doesn't matter. And you're pursuing a new purpose. I can't tell you what, but I'm planning something big for my 60s. We are constantly reinventing. And I need you to understand my biggest goal for you is to leverage all this disruption, all these shock waves, all this shock and awe, and flip it into reinvention. I'm still amazed that I guess we're like really into dystopia, but we never look at the opportunity. Our forefathers and foremothers and foresisters and brothers didn't have the opportunity to take low cost or free classes online from the comfort of their home, put time into that, promote that, and reinvent themselves no matter their age, no matter their industry, no matter their race, no matter their ability or disability. It's all about what you know and how you can get that out there. It used to only be who you know. Nope. Now it's what you know and what you can lead and guide and teach others. So, when it comes to leveraging AI or any technology, but AI as a catalyst for your own reinvention, I want you to look at these six, we can call them rules or imperatives, but they really make up a roadmap. It always starts with reframing AI around a mindset. And that's reframing the AI revolution, not something that's happening to you, but that's happening for you. It's around opportunity. It's not around obstacles. It's around forging these human and AI partnerships. They're collaborators, they're teammates, and you can reinvent that entire way that you have a relationship around technology to reimagine your own role. The best person to redesign that role and get ready is to optimize it not around limitations, but around the possibilities around those three priorities: that time, that talent, and that tech. What will get you ahead further and faster than anything, and I think will make you very happy, is accelerating, keeping up with that AI know how, and making and turning that lifestyle learning into a lifestyle, creating that at the identity level, and then promoting while you're becoming. What a concept, CK. Learn out loud. Market your momentum in real time. You know, so many people I have found, it's a funny thing, they need permission. And I've always been one to beg for forgiveness, not to ask for permission first. I guess there's a reason I work for myself. But you know what? If you need permission, I grant it to you. Start learning and market in real time. Share that story. You have permission to be your best, happiest, and most prosperous self. And then it's sustaining your relevance. You know, I always tell my students that the most important thing that will happen in this course will not happen in this course. It's what they practice after. It's that lifelong learning. I even have them create plans for that because I say to them, doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel great not to be scared of tech, excited, ahead? Okay, enjoy it for 5 whole minutes because I need you to be focused on sustaining that. And that's shaping reinvention into your own superpower. So I want you to leverage this. It doesn't matter age, location, occupation. If you're looking for a job, if you're in a job you like, if you're doing a side hustle, this I'm hoping can work for you because it's worked for me and I will be continuing to do this. Which brings me back to my partner, Margaret, and asking if you've had questions during this, comments, concerns, because we want to give you time. And I have a solid 15 minutes. And if we go over, that's okay too. But I want to make sure and have time to address you. And I thank you for letting me cover two of my most important passions with technology and reinvention. So, Margaret, did we have any action happening while I was yammering on about AI and reinventing you?
We absolutely did. So first, thank you, CK. That was great, and many of the comments are agreeing with me on
I
that.
see little hearts on the screen, so I'm giving a heart.
Um, we have several questions,
Cool.
and I'll try to do them mostly in order. Um,
Okay.
but I'm going to combine some because there were some themes as well.
Oh, I
So.
appreciate that.
Sure. So we have Sean asking, with AI automating more of the creative and strategic work we do,
Mhm.
how can communication and design professionals continue to stay relevant and add unique value? Additionally, he personally is considering earning a certification in user experience and
Ooh.
wonders if that is a strong career direction to stay relevant and in demand as AI continues to evolve.
Okay, Sean, you ask a darn good question with 3 points. I'm going to start at the end of that question because when we're talking about user, and I've CK's always had a bit of a hard time with the word user, but I didn't necessarily come up with a better one. But user, that is the human domain, right? So I want you to go to the most human parts of your job. I always say with AI, it's not about the answers. They're giving us the answers. The quality of the question has always been the most important. Every development, every innovation did not start with humanity saying a statement. They ask a question. What's up there in space? What if I did this and then did that? So I want you to start with the human part, which is very important because of the user experience or customer experience, or maybe you'll come up with a better human experience for me, nomenclature there. But I also want you to look at creative and say, okay, now that AI is starting to automate, or as a teammate, what's becoming even more important? I use AI as a brainstorming buddy, but a lot of times I'll call AI the age of imagination because an age of ideas because I'm coming up with the idea or I'm starting that kernel and that germ and that gem of that idea. So when it comes to creative, because we've always been so focused on work as a list of activities and tasks, what it really matters is what is the base idea. So that's one place to start. And that will always be in the human domain and working with these technologies to improve upon the idea. And they might come back with more design. So that's one. But let's also look at the model. For example, we talk about content changing. Let's take in the domain of Hollywood. They're like, "Oh my gosh, what's going to happen with films?" What may happen with films is they may become more personalized to the user. Again, I'm using that word to the viewer. And they may become different storylines for each of us. We've never been able to do that before. That's been a limitation, but now technology can enable. So I want you to go always to the human part. I want you to look at what's the core of your job and creativity, and it may be more idea before that design. And then third, I also want you to look at the core business model and how that reinvents. So content will change and tasks and jobs will evolve, but how does that mean they will evolve? For example, search engine optimization. Oh my God, that's a thing of the past. But answer engine optimization, that's how it's evolved and become to the now and going into the future. So a lot of our jobs are evolving, but it'll mean we have new jobs. We just have to reinvent them. So look at the human aspect, look at the core of your job, and look at the absolute business model and how that's going to reinvent. Good question. Big question. Margaret, more questions.
All right, yeah, that was a little bit more of like a three question in one, like you said.
Mhm.
But here goes the next one. I've used AI to help with responding to emails, helping to create PowerPoint, aiding with things in Excel, but I have yet to find the transformational use within my work as a manager. What am I missing?
You may not be missing anything. My question would be, and I love this question, by the way. My question would be when you take a step back, right, and start with what's familiar, your tasks and your time and where you feel like your time is best spent and where it's being wasted, right? Start with what's familiar, not with what's foreign, because see, the AI is still foreign to us. It's something new. But what I would ask you is when you take a step back and say, if only, if I didn't have this constraint, if I could spend more time here. And I'm going to give you an example. They did a study way back in 2014 of child social care workers. And they found because they were absolutely drowning in paperwork. Paperwork is very important when we're talking about any kind of healthcare, any kind of children. They found that they were steeped in so much paperwork and didn't have help there that they were not able to have more than 20% of their time interfacing with children and with these families, which is a core part too. So where they started was where could AI help free up your time? And because AI could be so much better for transcription and for creating a really important history, they were able to do the most important and most preferred part of their job and at least double that. And they're looking at over the next 6 years being able to triple that. So sometimes it's just looking at where is my time best being spent and where am I not able to do that now and what's the constraint. Now you may find that some AI systems will help with that, and you may find that you're still needing some help with that. So that AI may not be sophisticated enough for another 24 to 36 months. But I'd ask you to start there. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Hmm.
Um, the next question,
Yeah.
are we really at the stage where we can call AI intelligent technology? Is it more of a data collection and pattern recognition tool? And do we have to be aware of garbage in, garbage out?
Okay, we always have to be aware of garbage in, garbage out. Let me explain. The system is only as good as the data it's relying on. What I love is happening, and it just started, and it's going to be huge in 2026, is we're going from large language models. I mean, that's great. Ask me anything. To very targeted language models with our data complementing that. A great new company that's working on that is the CTO, good old tech female, in thinking machines. And she left ChatGPT and OpenAI to focus on these exact problems. So when you're talking about intelligent, it's definitely intelligent because it can learn from, it can infer, it can be predictive. However, a lot of what is generative AI, the person asking this question is absolutely right. It's a prediction. But we're now moving from just generative AI into agentic AI, systems that can learn from their mistakes and chain different workflows together to produce an always improving result while calling back to those data systems. So it is intelligent. It's definitely learns. I mean, heck, ChatGPT just learned things in the last 6 months that it used to be I had to start from scratch, right? But it's not just all about generative AI. And I would call your attention to a webinar I did in January on the 10 ways that AI is shifting. And I show generative AI being just one of those parts of AI happening right now. And folks, when I say generative AI, it's a lot of the chat GPTs and a lot of the Soras and all of that that you're seeing right now. So it's just becoming much more intelligent and more helpful. But it definitely always depends on the data. The data will always be the hook because remember, it's just like not exactly like it's akin to if we went to school and were taught proper lessons with objective data and then we're specializing in our field and we're taught those lessons if we don't train these systems on this of course they'll be limited and of course you'll have garbage out so good stuff. These are good questions, Margaret. Keep going.
They are.
Yeah.
I really like this question.
Okay.
Can you suggest ways to become a better prompt engineer, which is key for a successful solution?
So, a couple things on prompt engineer. So, where we used to query a search engine, prompt is the way that we talk about what we put in for the question or the direction, whether we're using a chatbot like GPT or Anthropic's Claude, right? First and foremost, we need to get really clear on the direction, okay? So it's really important that we're giving, and we're really, there's a whole curse of knowledge that's going into it. We're so used to asking a certain way or assuming it knows. We need to not assume. So that's one part there. And two, these systems themselves, though they really don't market this well. Actually, let's take GPT. You can go into OpenAI. I don't know why it makes you leave the interface you're in, but it'll actually give you feedback on your prompts. So actually, that's helpful. And I believe that will be roped into the systems, not just GPT, but all the systems themselves over the next 6 months, too. And three, because these systems are learning from us and learning where the pitfalls are, or where they're having a hard time answering, which frankly is where a lot of hallucinations come from. They're trying, but they're failing. Um, Prompting is going to become less about what we're asking and more about what the system is assuming and verifying with us before it goes to the next step and the next step. So you're going to see a lot of improvements there. But look into LLMs like GPT and ask where you can get help with your prompts. Because a lot of times we can replicate a prompt hundreds of times. We just go ahead and we change some nuances to it. Like if we're looking for a specific industry or a specific batch of time and the like. Yeah.
Fantastic. This question comes from Olivia, who I think might be one of your
Hey,
students or
Olivia.
alumni.
Oh, Olivia's good to
Um,
me. Thank you.
Olivia asks, what do you think about OpenAI placing restrictions on providing medical and legal advice?
Okay. I get it. I guess I wish there was a more balanced way. For example, the way I look at things is when so many people are using this system as a therapist, it teaches us two things. One is we feel very open with these systems because we don't feel judged because they're just a machine. And second, therapy is extremely important. And maybe you can meet with your therapist once a week, twice a week, once a month, but maybe you need to keep a better log or some information and communication and conversations going back and forth in between that time, which could benefit your therapist. So I feel like instead of it being all this or all that, why can't it be a balance? When it comes to regulations, I really, and we all work for this, I want just right regulation. I don't want necessarily for GPT to be diagnosing my kid, but I have asked medical questions of GPT and they've been very helpful in either saying it could be this or going, you might be overlooking this. I see that even doctors practicing with an AI, it will become like malpractice not to have an AI as a second part of wisdom for them or as a support for them. Because we're all biased on these things, or we can only think of so much. This helps us through it. So I think my real answer here is we need more balance and we need more like just right regulation with it. But I believe there's a way specifically for therapists to work with these systems to help their patients. I think that's just a new model, and that's okay. It's not above the human. Again, it's human plus machine intelligence. You see what I'm saying? So it's a great question, Olivia. We'll talk more
Yeah,
about it
and
offline. Yeah, we'll
on
talk
the
more about it
other,
offline. Yeah.
the physical medical health, I can't speak so much to the legal, but
Yeah.
I do know that the place that does my mammograms has AI go through, and the doctors also, and they're both looking for potential issues. So,
If my doctors are not using AIs to do what they do best, which is these are algorithms with code and math, they are just crunching through this to support them. I will not be using those doctors again, especially when I have to go through the blood, sweat, and tears of a mammogram. Okay, ladies, y'all understand me, but it's true. It's absolute negligence, but it's not above the doctor. I need us all to remember we go for a physical once a year for a snapshot of our health. It's the best we can do. And that doctor slaps a cuff on me and says, well, as long as your blood pressure is 120 over 80. Folks, does that mean my blood pressure is always looking like that? And here's another one. Does that mean that 120 or over 80 is truly good for me? It might be low for me, high for you, because we don't have these longitudinal systems with good data, talk about garbage in, garbage out, and with good intelligent tech that just wants to track that every day. You know, nearly every cancer could be wiped out in stage one with basically a round of antibiotics if only we could detect it early enough. Guess what detects things early enough all day, every day, all live long day are these AIs. And that helps our doctors and our physicians. So it's like it's a working together. Yeah, I'm very passionate about that one. Yeah.
So I just found something related to that, and I'll probably address this comment out of order, therefore. But we did hit the top of the hour, and anyone who has had a limited lunch hour has to get going. We certainly understand. We thank you for joining us, and I'll repeat some of the things that I stated at the beginning, which is that first. We will be providing this recording to you. If you joined us via the live webinar, you'll receive it via email, and the recording will be placed online and
Yeah.
in the Business Insights section of our website. I will also mention that anyone who does log out will receive a very brief survey. It literally is only 3 questions. We value your feedback and hope that you'll take just a moment to complete that. So I'll leave those remaining comments for when we finish. But we do have someone from the medical field who weighed in,
Mm.
and she said that a human plus AI works great in the emergency department for determination of acuity of illness, disease, and injury. So,
Like triaging.
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
correct?
I mean, I don't want to speak on Mary's behalf, but I think that's what she was saying. Yep.
You
Oh,
know,
yes. Yes, she weighed in
uh,
and said, yes, that's exactly what she meant. Thank you,
it's
Mary.
you know what was amazing to me is I had a doctor once, because you probably won't be surprised to find out that a lot of my time with my doctor at my physical is asking questions like this. I'm like, you know what? Is everyone that is at an ER should be in an ER? And he said, actually, usually only 20%. Wrong question, CK. And I was like, okay, school me. And he said, you need to understand that the people that need to be at the darn ER are not there. That's the biggest problem. It's they're not understanding their symptoms. They're saying, "Oh no, it'll go away." It's self-limiting, and I thought, "My God, what that can teach us. It can teach us so much about how to do things right, but you know what the real innovation is? Completely different framework. What have we been doing wrong? There's information we know, there's information we don't know, but then there's information that we don't know what we don't know. There's also fourth, there's misinformation that we need to work on that we think we know. But it's like that's what I need from an AI system is to go, this is great, CK, but what you really need to be focused on and like mind blown because it's just going through all that code and not giving preferential treatment or attention to one answer over the other because they're not sponsored, right? And that's not what most users look up, most humans look up. All right, keep coming the questions for those who can stay with us. For those who can't, we just want to make sure that we answer as best as we can when you have the recording.
All right. The next question I really like here. How do you convince skeptical, high-level decision makers to embrace AI? You mentioned us doing the
Yes,
work,
yes.
but senior staff may think we're wasting our time.
You know what I love about this? I've been answering this the same way for 30 years, and this one we have so much data behind us. You can go actually two ways. One, you can show them other companies and other case studies that haven't embraced AI and what's happened to them, and you can show, and that's like the negative, and you can show them the positive. Those who have embraced AI have learned from that, right? And how they've stayed relevant, how their ROI, their stock price, and the like. But I got to tell you, it's not really a question of whether or not. It's kind of like you use computing systems, right? Now you want to use intelligent computing systems. So we need to make that. But this is the thing, it's not just about how you're going to do it, but like I said, with survival the fastest, because it's so easy to either strengthen or all out lose all this work you put into, especially I go to companies that are 80, 100 years old and say, why would your legacy be to blow it on the most important technology? That's one thing. But then you also go to them and say, and of course, it's not AI for AI's sake. We need to look at all our processes because do not automate a bad process. What needs to be reinvented and what needs to be evolved. And if you do that, like 85% of companies are reskilling their employees, but that never makes headlines, right? It's always the doom and gloom, right, that sells. But if you do that, then you've got more open ears. But I mean, you have so much data right now on companies that have done well with AI, that haven't done well, that have been behind the times, and that were too aggressive. Sports Illustrated fired all of its writers, only have to bring them back on. CNET, the same thing. They're riddled with typos and errors. So it's that balance. But it's when you go to your C-suite, you're able to absolutely go on two strong legs to show that data of how they have to reinvent and also take it one step further on how important it is to reinvent the best practices and reskill employees. Catch up with me offline because I've got webinars on this. Margaret and I have been doing webinars on the reskilling revolution and the future of AI just in the last year. It's in the archives. Yeah.
Yes. And for anyone who's listening, that kind of shortcut to that is on the Business Insights portion of the Rutgers Business School website.
Yes.
So, um, all right. I'm going to combine a bunch of the questions here because there's similar theme. Um, how
And I'm
can some
starting to look at the chat a little bit as I can. Okay.
Sure. How can someone make sure they continue learning throughout life, even outside the classroom? And follow up on that is lots of people are asking about your favorite podcasts and AI learning resources.
Yeah. So the way that there's never been Margaret and I remember 15 years back. There was limited. Like Rutgers came up with the mini MBA entire strategy on that. That was not me. That was through them and they were so smart because they saw how fast things were moving. And Margaret, how slow was fast 15 years ago, right? So it's so funny. So, but there's so many ways to learn. ChatGPT gives free classes, Google gives free classes, and once you get certified through them, they're like, we take that with the same amount of weight as like formal education because you are being trained on the systems they want employees for, which is smart, right? There's all sorts of webinars. LinkedIn has Linda. They ate up Linda and merged with them, so they have webinars. You can go through Udemy. You can go through Saul Khan's Learning Academy. There's so many out there. So you want to start by using an AI to say, I am looking for online courses. I am looking for webinars and let the AI come back with answers for you. Do some searching. I love Perplexity as my new search engine. I should say my new answer engine, but you can use any you want. You can use Google's Gemini, but you find out different resources. And then you may even, through like LinkedIn and the like, find other people who've taken these courses and see if it's helped them. But there's so much content out there right now that's really specialized. It's beautiful. And you can spend zero, you can spend a couple thousand. All these are investments, and I believe tax deductible too. So you have to look into that. But you're just investing in yourself. And then you can use that's more formal and conferences and the like. Those are more formal learning, right? But you can also use informal learning, different podcasts. I have a lot. I love, frankly, TikTok and YouTube, and I do hashtag research, which is just my own term. I'm putting hashtag AI and doing searches to find folks that I really like and benefit from. And they're all over the world. It is the World Wide Web. So I'm getting all this great information. They're kind enough to speak in English for me, right? And it's like I am learning latest and greatest. I'm learning all about conferences that have happened and the big gems. I'm learning, don't look over here at this. This is what it's really about. And I have to tell you, I go to company websites like Accenture, like Ernst and Young, like McKinsey, and they are creating hundreds of beautiful position papers every business quarter. I copy paste those into a GPT and say, give me 5 gems, and then I'll learn out of 50 papers what 5 I'm going to spend my most valuable resource, my time and attention on. So I'm like all over the place with it, but I spend me 30% of my time, I call it cost of doing business, is learning. And that's my model. For companies and for individuals, please figure out at least 5 hours a week if possible. And by doing that, audit your time. I swear to you, you could be unloading the dishwasher and listening to a podcast. You can change 20% of your viewing documentaries and watching more about tech, and put that into a practice and go to your companies if they're not already and say, I need a full on learning program because the way that I am going to progress for you and for the bottom line is how skilled I am. And machines are the easy part. Humans aren't as easily updated as apps. So there are some
Mhm.
things right there.
And did you mention any specific podcasts for?
Well, I have a list of like different YouTubers and TikTokers that I like, but I need to get a list out with you guys because it would take me a
Okay,
little bit to go through them
okay,
because there's a lot of them. Yeah.
all right.
But I
So,
use social media as business media. I should really just
mhm.
put a headline around that. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we can get that list from you and
Absolutely.
put it as an attachment when we send
Perfect.
the recording.
Oh,
So,
my favorite magazine is MIT's Tech Review. It's every other month, and they go deep into like one subject, like generative AI or robotics or health tech. I love that. Yeah, and they're online too for like $6 a month. Yeah.
okay, great.
Well,
So this question comes from a Rutgers parent. The question is, how do you see inquisitiveness and curiosity playing a role in helping individuals reinvent themselves in the age of AI? How can educators and organizations encourage this mindset shift from learning about AI to learning through AI, where curiosity itself drives reinvention?
so what we're finding is the most important skills of the AI age are all, funnily enough, human. And that means adaptability, curiosity, experimentation, ideation, and the like. So those are proven. In the last 10 years, I think we have flipped from, and STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics are still very important, but it used to be so STEM heavy because we didn't have these intelligent teammates to work with. So now we're finding that these people skills and I mean, literally, what is more of a default factory setting for a human than curiosity? These are the most important skills. So the question is, I think, how to start implementing that. First thing is that we need to reinvent these systems themselves. When we talk about a company, we're having to go from a company that only identifies around being an expert in this to becoming more of a culture of curiosity, which means that have a priority for training. They would have networks within the company that make sure that there is share out between the employees and that they're constantly having a methodology and imperative to keep looking back at their systems to keep evolving those job roles as well as those processes. When it comes to education, a few things here. When I talked about learning agility earlier, it's looking at the stuff we teach. We're spending a lot of time arguing, should we still teach cursive? Should we still teach coding? Yes, but what we need to teach more of is how to learn. And we need to flip a lot of models that we've had in the past. For example, let's take homework. Oh my gosh, parents, I don't know how you do it. You get home from a full-time job and all of a sudden you have to become, a French expert, a geometry expert to help on homework. We need to flip that model. The model could be this lecture right here, could be the kids' homework. And then in class, they're working in teams where they need the most help during the actual implementation of the homework and that critical thinking and that curiosity. And where the teacher is the busiest, they could be doing that, flipping the classroom model there, whether it's K through 5 or whether it's ongoing education. Also, just learning, becoming, when I talk to companies, I say this, I say a skilled employee, and technical skills only have a half-life of 2.5 years, right? A skilled employee will be tantamount, will equal a loyal customer, because you cannot run an enterprise of the future with the skills of the past. And you're finding that we're having a lot of chief people officers, and training and development is coming into a renaissance because they're like, actually, this makes sense. In order to keep up as much as we can with acceleration, we need to be more curious. We need to instill learning, and we need to become a less of know it all and more of a learn it all kind of organization. You're going to see, I don't want to say a reckoning, but a reinvention of nearly every single industry, because we are absolutely having to reshape things because things have changed so drastically and things are moving so fast. So curiosity is awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
Adaptability. Yeah.
Yeah. Our next question. As professionals focus on reinventing themselves and learning new skills to stay relevant in the age of AI,
Yes.
one concern is how to demonstrate value to employers without direct experience in that new field. What are your recommendations for building credibility and standing out during a job search in this situation?
Be a teacher, be a guide. It is amazing when you teach something to someone, even if it's this is my, being the person, this is my take with all that I've learned and all the valuable lessons, and where I extrapolate where things are going and why. And when you're teaching an audience, whether that is an interviewer, whether that is your followers on LinkedIn, whether that's through a webinar, when you're teaching someone something new, or when you're explaining something in more of a crystallized, accessible way, or whether you're giving them a whole new viewpoint they didn't think about. Like I just talked about flipping the classroom and doing homework in the classroom time and watching lectures as homework, right? It opens a person up and it changes them because they're literally open to the information. And you don't have to be a full time teacher to do this. It's a lot of times people won't take this on that should, because they have so much experience in their current industry with their current pain points and their customers and that value proposition. So, any way that you can share that information, it just puts you in a more prominent light and it benefits people. You've gone from the person that's listening to the information to the person who's helping to teach and guide that information. And a big thing about now, I said it earlier, no one is an expert yet. No one has all the answers. We are literally afforded time that there's no wrong answers yet. There's just information that's being changed into intelligence as we learn it and experiment with it. I hope that makes sense because it's such an opportunity for us. Yeah.
Great. I'm going to be combining a couple of questions
Cool. Y'all ask good
in
questions. I just don't want
in
to shortchange it. Yeah.
the next one because these are very of a very similar ilk.
Okay.
And if we should begin to learn AI as it progresses, what's the path to begin this journey? And people want to know where to start with AI, which platforms, and
Okay. What kind of
and the
learner?
lifelong
Yeah.
learning template. I think that was all kind of related.
No, it does all relate. So for one, the number one way that I use AI by far and away is as a teacher and guide. And what I love is conversational AI, because I've learned that I type fast, but I speak faster. So I'll take Chat GPT. I go into voice mode. And whether I am taking a walk to exercise or whether I'm at my desk, I'll go back and forth and I'll say things like, I assume this, or break this down to explaining it to me if I wasn't in this industry, or as a 5 year old, explain it, or give me metaphors. So for me, conversationally is a really good way for me to learn. But sometimes people learn best through watching information. So, like a YouTube or a webinar like this could be helpful. See, there's not one answer for everyone. Or, and we're afforded so many options, or some people are really good as audible learners. They love podcasts, you know? So it depends, but you can literally start anywhere. I would suggest, and what I tell people is to at least pay $20 a month for two chatbots like GPT and Perplexity or Claude. Try different ones and ask it questions and say to it, literally speak to it or type to it, I am looking for a place to start as a person who's not an AI. Do some research, find me ideas. People are like, how do you find AI tools? Use AI to help find AI. And then just in your regular social media, look at what people are pointing to that's helped them. But first, start with what is the best way for you to learn. If you're really hands on, if you need to learn in a group, do an online course where there's a cohort, or go old school and go in person. I can tell you, Rutgers has both. It has online and in person. But think about, how do I learn best? And how am I best open to learning where it's not intimidating? Well, don't go to expert level yet. Start with this, and learn to love the learning curve. Whenever I make a big mistake that I laugh at, I always make sure and document it because I know it's going to help others and they're going to feel more open to it. And also, people are like, yeah, I made that mistake too, CK, or I was silly like that. Do that. But figure out what kind of learner you are. I'm really good with conversation, which should probably surprise no one because I talk a lot, but the AIs can help me with that. So I use that mode a lot. Margaret,
Nice.
what do you think? I mean, you're so in Reinvent with Rutgers, so you might have some ideas on this one too for lifelong
Yeah,
learning.
yeah, I was thinking about what you were saying, specific to the platforms, but also thinking what we might be able to include when we send something along with the recording. So we'll come up with some ideas of what to share to benefit everyone. Our next question comes from someone um, who says, for someone with decades in marketing and communications, what do you see as a transition for them at age 60?
But do you want to transition out of marketing communications, or do you want to transition? So I would ask that, but I mean, I'll give an overall. If you want to stay in marketing and communications but bring AI in, oh, there are so many great examples out there. There's great examples of case studies. There are entire programs that do digital marketing and AI. We're actually kicking one off next year to bridge the two. We already have AI ones at Rutgers, but there's all sorts of free webinars. You can slice and dice between marketing strategy and AI. You can go to marketing comms. But if you're looking to move out of marketing communications and into AI for something else, well, start being a student again, you know? Start saying to yourself, what great time at the end of the year, beginning of the year. Look at the next 4 quarters of 2026 and chart out, where do I want to be? Do I want to be completely out of this industry? Do I want to be a new industry? What am I looking to do? Do I want a new group of colleagues? And build backward from there. And it's very exciting. I told Margaret this. My oldest student, 84, chemical, crazy smart engineer. I said, look at you taking this. And he's like, I'm in courses every quarter, CK. Why would I stop now? And I thought, damn, I wish I had that line. That was perfect. So it's like, figure out where you want to be in a year from now and what that's going to mean each business quarter. And be open to changing the plan because you might find yourself ahead of the game in 6 months. But good on you. I'm looking forward to my 60s. I already know what I want to do, but I can't tell you. I can't tell. Okay. But it's
Uh,
work. It's cool. Yeah.
I know some of the answers to this next question
Okay, go
because
ahead.
we've talked so much, but
Yes, you
um,
go.
have you used AI in your current role as teacher and speaker? What are the main tasks that you leverage it for?
So, have I used it and how do I use it? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Uh Yes, and I use it at least 30% more this year than last year. I use it in my personal and professional life. I never look at a user guide from a company again. I go right to a chat bot, and I can't tell you how helpful it is. How do I use it? Oh, let me count the ways. Let me explain the ways. I use it as an assistant. So when I'm creating a presentation, I'll say, how are some other ways to say this? Or is this the tightest way to say this? Or what are some other words to get this across? So I kind of use it as an assistant there. I use it as a big advisor. So I'll come in with an idea and then I'm helping to shape that idea. I do not outsource my ideas, but I certainly it improves them. It helps me there. Research. Oh my gosh, I spend less time researching and a lot more time learning. It's like search engines. Goodbye. I don't want to search. I want to find. So I use it as an advisor. The biggest way I use it, I've used it frankly. I have graphics that I've spent thousands of dollars on, and I use a basic $10 a month system that removes the background so I can continue to use the investment I have, little things in PowerPoints. But the bigger thing is I'm now doing a lot of dictation to go back and forth with systems, which means I'm saving at least 10% time. Doesn't sound like much, except for when you look at 10% time at the end of the year. And what do I put that into? Learning. Because it's so fun that people look at me as an expert. I'm like, I mean, I'm a specialist, but I'm learning in things that are always breaking the rules and setting the rules. So I'm just a continued student that helps guide others, you know? So many ways. But I mean, the biggest way is definitely as a guide and a teacher for me. Yeah. But I vet a lot off of it. So I use that as an advisor, like a brainstorm buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
What do
great.
you, how do you use it, Margaret? How
Well,
has it
no,
helped you?
when I said that, I was thinking about when you and I talked,
Mhm.
and you talked about editing the image and
Yeah.
finding the image and composing versus editing and things like that. So I knew that you would
Evolving.
have a lot of answers for that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna still I keep telling everyone, we're gonna have full-time like everyone thinks like jobs are done. I'm like, do you think in a capitalist society that we're just like, okay, jobs are done? No, 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 no. It's just that messy middle where we're figuring it out. But we already want productivity to be at least 20%, if not 30% more, is what companies are saying. So you got to look at your time and say, where am I wasting time? Go to that AI and say, I'm wasting time here. Are there tools for this? And experiment with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question. I appreciate that one. Well, I appreciate them all, but I love that one.
So I want to. I'm rereading the next question, and I hope I express it correctly. How
Oh,
many more years will it take for agentic AI to evolve so
God.
that it can be used to perform outreach contact calling to a real person?
Well, it's not just that, it's a lot of other things. Okay, so agentic AI, folks, is when the AI system, it's not the same. These are a lot of technical, I know, but it's more sophisticated than a chat GPT. And yeah, you can do agentic through chat GPT, but we're not going to get in the weeds right now. But let me give you the best feedback and quote I heard lately. They're like, stop it with this is the year of agentic AI. Nope, it's the decade. And here's why. It's got a lot going for it, but this whole idea of like we can just outsource it here. First of all, it's humans in the loop and always on the loop, never out of the loop. But second of all, it's we're having to train these systems. So I would say for that specific example, uh, I think you'll be there within 24 months. I'd say 24 to 36 months. But the thing is, once we get there, it's going to be a larger workflow. But I want you to understand when it comes to agentic systems, which means much more than just asking a chat GPT a question and getting an answer. It's literally giving a task that we supervise to an AI and that AI constantly learning and improving from. That takes where we used to be doers, we're becoming a lot more managers now. Like I said before about not writing, editing, it's going to be several years. Agentic AI has a lot on it and it has a lot of knocks and pings. It's a buy. If it's a stock, it's a buy, but it's a long term hold. Listen to me making a good metaphor with that one. But you see what I'm saying? It's not the year of AI, but what you're looking for with that customer, I would say 24 to 36 months. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Um, the next question is, can AI personalize customer experiences without violating privacy?
Oh, okay. So AI doesn't know. So the privacy, I got to start there. The privacy is going to depend upon the region. I'm in California. It's going to depend upon the state. It's going to depend upon the country, which is really interesting because we're putting a lot on AIs to like know boundaries, right? These poor systems. Sometimes the way we talk of them, they should know human values and they're not human. So there are ways, and there's enough money after it. It's enough of a revenue model that we will figure it out, but it's going to be messy because guess what? New regulations are coming. I mean, speaking from an American standpoint, my goodness, there are hardly anything that's a partisan issue. But one thing that did not pass that big old bill recently, earlier this year, they were like, no, 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 no. We're not going to say that AI can't be regulated across the board for the next 10 years. That was the one where everyone pushed back. So it's going to be messy, which means there's a lot of opportunity there. We are going to have to make intelligent systems really specific. That's the good communication that nets into the code. And it's going to be changing at least every business quarter, if not twice a year. Our lawyers will be riding high reinventing through AI. So you can do it, but it's also going to depend upon the industry. It's going to depend upon a big old opt-in from the customer, right? And it's going to be keeping a massive eye and being aware of compliance. I won't call them issues, I'll call them regulations because a lot of compliance is actually for us. Um, but there will be a messy, busy time. But yes, we can do that. It's just going to need a major opt-in and making sure and overseeing those systems because once people opt in, they can't be under 15, all that kind of stuff. Y'all
Sure.
have really good questions, but that's a good one. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the term in here, so
Ooh,
I'll
we're
be
learning
curious to
something.
hear the response. Sean asks, is generative the same as
Yes.
artificial general intelligence?
No, thank you for asking this. So, generative AI is a type of AI. So, those of us that have been in AI a while, we call all the stuff pre-generative AI. And generative AI, folks, means any system that can generate something, an answer, code, a design, a prototype, all of that, which came on the scene 3 years ago. We call all the old stuff that was predicting and analyzing and processing, we call that good old traditional AI. Literally, we call it good old traditional AI. Or good old fashioned AI. Sometimes people have the acronym GOFAI, GOFAI. That's real techie. But when it comes to different types of systems, they could be generative AI, they could be physical AI like robots. I'm putting stuff out there. Agentic AI that we talked about. That's different flavors of AI. General intelligence AI talks about the level of capability. Okay, so basic AI, the good old traditional stuff, the smarts it had was literally Find a pattern, apply a pattern. And this is what I mean. When you go onto Amazon and it says recommended for you, Amazon really knows me well because I like blingy things and techie things. So it says the pattern is this user buys a lot of tech stuff, buys a lot of blingy stuff. Okay. That was the smarts it had. Now, when we talk about general artificial intelligence, we're talking about it's equated to a human being's level of intelligence in that it's not just good in one domain area of creating things or identifying a pattern and applying it, but across the board can learn and act on a number of things. For example, I may be good at tech. I could also be good at design. I could also be good at math. You see what I'm saying? So that's what general artificial intelligence is. And that scares some people. It does not scare me, but that's not Terminator at all. But that is probably coming. Some people say next year. I'm thinking over the next decade. And that just means our smarter systems get smarter, which is wild because the biggest thing that's changing in AI is our careers, but the biggest output is our expectations. Like we're expecting more, so we're going to want that. So artificial intelligence is not the same thing as generative that generates. But you know what? Now that you say it, that is confusing. That could be very confusing. There's also another called super intelligence, which everyone's like, oh, Terminator. Don't be thinking that way because it's not necessarily, put it this way, the smartest humans on earth weren't necessarily mean. Einstein, he was really just geeky and wanted to get into E equals MC squared. So we don't have to worry necessarily about the technology so long as we're supervising it. I always worry about bad humans more. But anyhow, so general artificial intelligence is how smart the system is and what it's capable of, and generative AI is one type of AI specifically to generate things.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
that is
thank you.
that. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Next question. You mentioned something about soft skills. What soft skills do you recommend one learns and sharpens in today's world as we continue to evolve with AI?
Excellent way to the way that was asked. Okay, so I hate the word soft skills because it demeans them and they're people skills. But I can tell you collaboration, adaptability, learning agility, curiosity, experimentation, communication, um, leadership. No matter how autonomous your self-driving car, you still got to tell it where to go. Strategy, critical thinking, working against biases. My gracious, I'm watching a TikTok channel these days, or TikTok page, and they're going through all the human biases, and I'm like, my gracious, we have like 100, like using these wonderful skills of ours to say it's easy to get anchored in different opinions. They'll say, however you grew up, that was your normal. And you spend the rest of your life figuring out, oh, it's not as normal as that. It's like being open to all those different ideas, and being endlessly curious and experimenting with them. But one thing I want to say is we've always downplayed these traits because other skills were so easily measured. But isn't it beautiful in a time in AI where humanity will have more time to do human things and find that's most important? For example, it's not just important that I teach good stuff and continue to learn good stuff so I can keep teaching good stuff. It's that I'm a good teacher in listening to my students and being there for them and supporting them. That's human, right? But that makes all the difference. Think about your kids' teachers and why you value them. They weren't just looking out for what your kid was learning, they were looking out for your child's development, right? So all that human stuff, all that woo-woo stuff, that's becoming real important. And that's beautiful. I call it a human renaissance. Okay.
Nice. Okay. Um, do you foresee AI completely taking over supply chain management, specifically warehouse management systems?
I see it making it a lot better, but completely, if God bless supply, I don't think people who are outside supply chain management do not know how complicated, how friction filled, and God bless our supply chain managers that just went through all those pandemics and all those problems and all those new policies, only to have to learn all this stuff with new tariffs and the like. So I think that AI plus blockchain, a way to trace all this good stuff, is only a great shot in the arm for supply chain. For example, the head of the FDA was like, I am able to now, if there's an outbreak or a disease, this was a few years ago, it used to take 7 days to figure out where that packet of mangoes came from because it was so fraught. Now it's under 2 minutes. I mean, this is a breakthrough. So I think it will continue to automate. I think it will continue to help work with complexity. And I think it will reinvent that. But we're still going to need a lot more humans for two reasons. One, because it's always complex and there's always changes to supply chains just for geopolitics alone, right? And then you have climate change and where things are changing. But two, once you start putting AI systems in that improve a problem or lessen constraints and friction and bring in new possibilities, now we're looking at your job growing and growing to different things. Plus, all of these AI systems that you're going to automate for all these different things, you may be less time doing those things and more time managing those systems. I love that question. And thank you to our supply chain managers because, my gracious, their job is never easy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Not the truth.
never, never. Bless
Um,
them. Yeah.
okay, so we have answered, Sean has a multi-part question. We've answered most of it already in other questions, but
Okay.
this end part I want to ask you.
Okay.
It's about uh, taking something that you got from one AI
Yes.
and plugging it into another to refine it further. So,
Ooh, like one output or one answer, or like one, it could be even a design prototype. I'm sorry. I'm not assuming you know this, Margaret, but I want to give a good answer.
so
So I
why
just
don't
want to jump
I'll
in.
kind of start from
Start from the
the
beginning,
beginning.
how,
I'll
yeah,
read
yeah,
the whole thing.
yeah.
Um, what are your top AI apps and which do you like for what? And for the prompts, we could ask it to refine itself in the prompt and then also plug the refined prompt into other
Oh,
AI models to refine it further.
okay, okay. Okay, I'm going to answer it this way. I do not believe in ever use, especially on important stuff, using just one like large language model like ChatGPT. So I'm constantly going across different ones, especially when I'm having to refine a search or to get different feedback. But I can tell you that I've done like a good like module description and I'll put in the basics and then I'll ask ChatGPT to give me edits to tighten and to make it more focused on a specific audience, let's say for supply chain personnel. But then I will take the same question I've asked and go over to Claude or Perplexity. And I just see different options for it. But if I'm like looking into a system where I need to do some research and validate that research, you best believe that I'm checking across Google's Gemini for the results and Perplexity. So I'm refining it in that way. But I do find that the question interesting because people have their favorites. I'm not sure I have a favorite yet. But I also find it interesting on what they'll spend the most time on double checking either the results, it's something important, it's a high price idea, or a high interest idea, or just they want to see what kind of feedback they get from the systems. So I'm like, especially if it's going to cut down your time, why not check across a couple of systems? But I'd be
Yeah.
interested if it's like for a prototype or for code, you know what I'm saying? Because there's just so many different ones out there that are getting more specific. Like in
Hmm.
legal, people are like, I'm not using GPT for legal results. I'm using what's called Harvey Legal AI or others. which is specific to the legal profession, which comes back to that garbage in, garbage out. It's been trained on all the legal information and is updated for compliance, right? And is constantly getting feedback on you're right, you're wrong, you are on target or way off from their customer base, which is where I think more things are going to go. They're going to go to smaller systems.
More specific, yeah.
Very specific. Yeah.
Um,
Sean, I
all
hope
right.
we answered. Okay.
So, Sean asks,
Yeah.
in your opinion, what do you think the easiest way to use AI to make money is, regardless of the field? Or is there a field you think
I know
AI
the
could be
answer.
used in to make
I already
money?
know the answer. I'm not. Okay. Three main ways. Make anything better, faster, easier. And everyone's like, where are smartphones going? I'm like, I hope out of the middle of conversations, because mine's dumb still. It's not smart enough. Um, make an experience more meaningful. Okay. But third, solve a problem. Remove friction. Solve problems. Trust me, people want problem solved. And a problem could be anything from stop searching so much, start finding information, or what I needed was I finally have a system that speaks my same language and I'm typing to it. Not anymore. Well, not as much. I'm using Whisper, WISPR, to communicate no matter what. Not my smartphone. It can be on any app, any of my software, because I'm like, I can only do it here in this system, but not here in this system. And you know what's beautiful is when you tell people, if you get anything you want, what would it be? They're like, money. But if you say, what are the pain points of your job? Oh my Lord, they will rapid fire tell you in 60, 90, 120 seconds this, and this. So solve problems. And also make things more human by understanding our most precious resource is our time, our talents, and our energies. We want to stop wasting time on things that just take up time, right? That we don't need. So solve a problem. And that can be industry, that can be consumer. I had a problem. 50 years old, I finally got a pool. And the damn pool app, I swear to God, is from the 18th century. So I used ChatGPT to look at it to teach me how to go through 10 different screens to finally get to heat pool. But at least I know it. Solve a problem. Yep.
Fantastic. Okay. And
Yeah.
yeah, pool sounds very nice right
It's very
now.
nice if you can get it to heat. I was like, is this an IQ test? Because I'm failing. And then GPT was like, one, two, three. Four. I was like, oh, but I got it. Yeah.
All right. So we have a student in the audience who
Hello,
wonders
my
if
student.
any of the AI classes that you teach at Rutgers can be taken by online MBA students. I know you teach online, but
Yeah. We have a
I
whole
think,
AI program that is our latest cohort is 100 strong. I
but
think it's
that's
in
the
five different
digital
countries.
market. That's a specialty
No, that is
master's.
AI,
But
AI specific.
right, but it's in the specialty master's program, right?
It's
We may have to get.
actually through, oh, you're asking me good questions. It's through executive ed. So there's a couple. Our digital marketing program being reinvented to digital marketing and AI. It's going to be awesome. I take all the courses. We have 10 different professors. It's not just me, right? It's like 10. It's awesome. But AI is doing gangbusters, and it's our third year, and it's an AI mini MBA. I think it's 12 modules that are easily 3 to 4 hours each. So like packed. You can take it at your own speed. We net out the lessons into 10-minute intervals, right? And it
So
goes across
those are
ethics,
the mini
business.
MBAs, though. I think this person is probably looking forward
Oh, I need to
to like
get
something like you're doing with Stacy and the digital marketing pro. We
Right.
may have, Samantha, we may have to get back to you with the,
No, I'm going to point
very
Samantha to
specific.
Stacy, to my gal Stacy, who will know those courses. So that one, give us your email. I'll go to the chat now. Oh, thank you, Samantha. That's so nice. Yeah, see, she took the digital marketing mini in 2020. Um, and see, she said my main reason to go. But I got to tell you, lifelong learning. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So,
I'm
so
currently in the MBA in hot. Oh my gosh, I owe you guys. That's wonderful. Hold on.
yeah.
Do not forget to share. I won't.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do is Margaret, I'm gonna put together a list of all the
Yes, absolutely. I
stuff.
mean, I've been
It's
keeping
just
a
it's so
running list of
endless.
all the things we
Yeah.
committed
Hi,
to share with
Justin.
everyone.
Okay.
So,
I'm now finally looking at the chat. Okay. Without
I've
violating.
two more
You've
questions
done great, Margaret.
from here
How do we
in the Q
connect
and
in
A.
person? Okay, let me give my information. Go ahead.
Um, Bernard asks, as part of our retooling and reinvention mantra,
Yes.
should we be learning Python programming as a complement to AI application development?
It depends on what you're going into. So, for example, if you're not going into coding specific, I don't necessarily know that you need to do that. However, if you're going into some type of software engineering, we're having that ability because it's not just set it and forget it on code. I never want to be saying that. It is managing that and working with that. Then Python and or another may be what you need. And this is where I would go into a Reddit, I would go into a GitHub, and I would go into a community on that to ask others because I don't know what you're specifically looking to do. I mean, the coding that I do is HTML and that's helpful, but I even have started automating some of that. But I'm not in software engineering. So I don't want to speak outside my domain, right, on that. So it depends, but you can verify on that by talking to people in the field that you are in or want to be in. And I'll talk to at least 3 to 5 and get their feedback. Yeah. And also, quick prompt a perplexity, prompt a chat GPT and ask their take too. And make that as one of your answers, not the final answer. Yeah. I'm putting my information in, including my mobile. Okay, hold on. 347.7. Go ahead. You're doing so great,
Oh,
Margaret. Thank you so much.
okay.
Okay, there you go.
Um,
Hmm.
okay. All right. Just when I think I'm telling you, oh, we have the last two questions, more questions coming in. All right, so we've answered that. Uh, Jeffrey's talking about a paid version of a tool,
Hmm.
and was wondering if you had heard of it, Chat LLM.
Are we talking about for like creating your own assistant, or is it just another type of tool that you pay for?
I just learned about Chat LLM,
Oh, I'll check it out. I don't know about it.
uh,
Awesome.
where where for $10 it will take your input, figure out which AI paid version tool would work best for the situation, then give you an output from the tools it used. And Godfrey says
Well,
he's
look
going to
who's
try it.
become the teacher. This is what I love about this. Okay, chat LLM. This is
Mhm.
very valuable. Okay. And it can tell me which tool to use. I had not known about that. Talk about solving a problem. Too many tools.
Yeah,
What's the right
yeah.
answer? I love this. Okay. What's
Um,
the person's name that shared this?
Godfrey.
Thank you, Godfrey. Oh, Godfrey, I'm so glad to see you here. Okay. These are
Um,
folks I know. Okay.
and the next question is, oh, thank you. with
You,
someone who says they'd like to share that their personal experience was that the mini MBA programs were indeed exceptional. Thank you so much
I'm
for that.
so put. We work so hard on them, and we want to make sure, and we're always open to, what needs to be better. Okay.
So one thing that we'll be sending everyone is a link to the um, AI program, our mini MBA AI. Um, it is not exactly the one of the questions that came up in the chat, because again, I'm trying to pop
So
back
I
and
was looking at
forth.
chat to help
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Um, uh, where did that
I'm
question
gonna,
go?
I'm
Does the
gonna,
mini MBA chart a path to a career in AI? And the answer is no, not exactly, because your path would be unique. So it's not a one size fits all. There are many, many takeaways, but I would not look at it as any of the programs really charting a
like it's
path.
not like nursing accreditation. However,
Exactly.
it is an accredited program and along with others, okay, I'm just going to be overarching, is very helpful on several counts. One, you show it on your resume, you show it on your bio on LinkedIn. So that's like promoting, right? Two, just the knowledge, the way we change, like I said earlier, when you teach something to someone, the way you change them, the way we change with the amount of confidence, right? It's like it's a mystery now, but once you're learning more, and you're especially learning like just how in charge you are and how many opportunities, that makes you three more directed on what type of career you'd want, what's not going to be a growth area for you anymore as well. So in that way, but it's not like becoming certified in a specific type of vocation, but it is becoming more specialized in it. So I hear what you're saying, Margaret. We still
Yeah.
have 38 people here. Y'all rock. This is the first time I've been able to look at the chat. I've been flying blind. Y'all rock for this. Hello, everyone. Hello, Felicia. Oh my gosh, got Jackie, who's been taping all this. My God bless. Okay, as a backup for us. Um, Hi, Melissa. That's my sister pie there, y'all. Melissa Curley, who's been rocking out with reinventing her business on so many cool things. Okay, so what else do we have?
So uh, we are done with Q&A. I believe that we have addressed everything that appeared
We went an
in
hour over.
the
We went
chat.
an hour
And
over.
yeah, and I think we all need a nap now.
Listen, I mean this, y'all. It's so wonderful to get your good feedback and your love. I cannot do this without Margaret. I mean, she is going through this, and honestly, it's the job that's behind the scenes. But whenever I'm at a conference, the first thing I do is go up to crew and say, "Listen, I know how important you are. Without you, I'm not seen, I'm not heard, I'm not supported." So I just want to give some hearts to Margaret. I want us to take this information and say, this is a huge opportunity. This is a way I can cut down on uncertainty. The world is full of a lot of noise, a lot of goodness, a lot of hardness right now. But this is something I can literally control from the convenience of my own desk in my own home with a limited budget or no budget with my most valuable asset, which is not my bank account. But I hope your bank accounts are big. It's my time and attention. And this is my opportunity. It doesn't matter what gender I am, what race I am, what age I am, what ability, doesn't matter. Like you write this. No one has all the answers. No one is the expert. What people are is they're open, they put their time and commitment, and they learn from others as well. I will absolutely get a list, but that list will not be total because we have different things. I just learned a new tool. And Margaret, when she has time, she's been an hour extra. We'll get this recording out to y'all too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So CK, thank you so much. I have a question for you.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
did did you intend to share the website, email, and mobile to the whole audience?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do that now because it came through just to me at first. So
Okay.
I've
Well,
got that out there.
I just want to say I'm not usually in chat. I'm usually in talk. So
Yes,
I
yes,
thank you. Yeah, I
absolutely.
give everyone my mobile. I just ask if you're going to text me, do me a favor. I've had a few people who text me and they don't tell me. They're like, "Hi," da, 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 and I'm like, three conversations in before I'm like, "Can you please tell me who this is? I'm just seeing your number." Yes, I meant to give that. Thank you, love.
Okay, all right,
Oh, I
very
see
good.
it defaults to, yeah.
Yeah. So as we close, I just want to say thank you so much, CK, above and beyond to stay an hour asking
And you.
questions. And to our audience, including the 30 or so people who stuck with us throughout, thank you. All of the questions really, really make it very dynamic. Um, our next webinar will be on another Friday at noon Eastern time. We'll be in touch with all of the details about it. And we ask for your suggestions for content for future webinars in our brief 3-question survey. The recording of today's webinar will be shared with everyone who registered and attended, and it will also be posted on the Business Insights page of our website. Thank you everyone so much. Have a great rest of your
And
day.
let us know what you do with this wonderful information. We want to hear. I get to then promote you as part of my speeches and my modules. Like, that's awesome. Like, let us know what you do, what you've learned. Remember, share your story, learn out loud. Okay, Margaret, I hope you
Excellent.
have the most amazing weekend ever. You deserve it.
You too. Thank you, and thank you everyone. Bye for now.